Hi guys, welcome. My name is Amanda for those of you that are new to the channel. For those of you who've been here before, welcome back again, into friends and family, g'day. Okay, we are digging out the printed recipes from the family favourite journal, the recipe journal. So for those of you who've been here before, you know that if I'm pulling out this one, it's going to be a humdinger of a recipe. And this one is. I have three things that I'd like to show you today. Firstly, I need to bring out what is my buttered chicken seasoning mix. And this particular one is what I use to make buttered chicken for the family. My son has told me that I'm not ever allowed to change this one. Out of all of the buttered chicken recipes that I've used in the past, this one is the favourite for him. It makes a really good curry recipe as well. So whether or not you're making curried vegetables or a curried beef, pork, chicken, you name it, it is delicious for that as well. And that's exactly what I need to do because my husband has asked me to redo a meal that I'd made up through the week. Very quick and simple, didn't cost very much money at all, just using some of the ingredients that everyone is going to have, maybe a few extra, but most people have all of these ingredients in their pantries as well. But I need to make up the seasoning blend first, and I'm going to show you how to do this one. I'm not sure if I've done this as an individual or if I did it when I did a group of mixes, but in this case, I will just show you how to make up this blend, and if you're interested, you can write this one down, and if you've tried it, let me know also. So that's what we're going to do. But the recipe journal definitely needs to be brought out for this one because it is the pudding basin that is empty over there that I need to refill again because I have already filled it a few times. But, you know, you've got to test out these recipes, don't we? And I can't share them, even though I know they're in my journal and they're amazing. I can't share them until I've retested them once again. So a double saucing chocolate hazelnut pudding. Sounds delicious, and it is. This is so much better than anything you're ever going to buy. It is a delicious treat to have in the evening if you want to warm this up. You can have it cold with ice cream. You can have it hot with ice cream. You can have it with custard. Custard's so easy to make as well. And if I had extra eggs, and I'm just thinking, I might have a chance to make up some custard later. But really, it's the pudding. It's all about the pudding. And I want to bring back puddings because they're so out of favour, especially if you've been eating those things from the supermarket that have got no flavour. This is so much better. You can make this gluten-free or you can just make this plain, and I'm going to be making this just a standard recipe because it is homage to the recipe book and sharing this for my family as well. So let's get on to that lovely job of making a seasoning blend up first, and then we'll make up the pudding. I'm going to make up our curry blend that I normally use with the buttered chicken. So buttered chicken always has lemon to marinate it with some yogurt in the beginning, so I do add some lemon zest, but you don't have to add the lemon zest to your recipe as well. And I've started off by adding the garam masala. So for a single recipe, which I will put in the descriptions, it's 2 teaspoons. I'm doing 4 times the recipe, so I'm going to be adding extra. So I've got 8 teaspoons of garam masala in here. I also need to add half a teaspoon of a cayenne chili powder or any chili powder. It will be, for me, a heaped tablespoon. I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon of cumin. So like I said, I am doing 4 times the recipe. 1 tablespoon of ground ginger. 1 teaspoon of turmeric. Garlic. Again, just the 1 teaspoon for a single recipe. Or if you've got crushed garlic, you could use crushed garlic instead, the dried crushed garlic. Salt. Is 1 1/4, it's a heaped teaspoon. So I'll do a heaped tablespoon. That's enough for 4. And then sugar. Any kind of sugar you want, white sugar, brown sugar. I'm going to use the coconut sugar. And you will need 1 tablespoon, so I normally would need 4. This is a really nutty flavour. I like this. Okay, that's our sugar. That's our spice blend. Now we're just going to mix that together. So if you make a single blend of this up, you should have about 18 grams. So if you do a larger blend up like I do, you end up with more. But 18 grams or 3 tablespoons is a single serve. All right, into a bottle that can go, and that is our spice blend that we need to make up for our recipe later today. Alrighty, let's take that seasoning blend and let's turn that into, I'm going to say 10 meals. I'm going to meal prep it. I'm going to do 2 different flavours so that the family don't get bored with the same flavour though. So what I do is I cook off the meat really quickly. So I'm just going to sear. You can use beef, pork, lamb, chicken. It's up to you, whatever flavour you want. I happen to have pork out at the moment, but I also have got some seasoning blend that I've made up. So this is the meatloaf blend that I make up. So I've got a serving size of that as well to go with the buttered chicken seasoning. And I also have got some beef lard. It's just rendered down beef fat. So that's just the drippings. And I'm going to use that as the flavour for the cooking off the pork. Pork's pretty boring flavour, but I mean, with all the curry and the flavours that are in that butter chicken seasoning blend, it doesn't really matter what meat you use. It's not going to make any difference. There's not a lot of fat in these. This is a leg of pork that's been minced up. There's not much fat in it anyway. So I'm just going to add a little bit extra. You know, my husband's not going to complain about a bit of additional beef fat, neither's my son. Alrighty. In goes the pork, and we're just going to cook that off. We're going to cook it off with the seasoning. This is the meatloaf seasoning blend, very similar to an all-purpose seasoning blend. All right, so if you haven't seen the seasoning blends that I've been making up, that was the meatloaf or the hamburger seasoning mix going in. When I make up the blend, it's enough to do 1 kilo of mince for flavour. And this is, you know, nearly 900 grams. It's close enough. On the stove, I've got 5 potatoes from the garden that have been peeled, cleaned, chopped, put into water and diced up and boiled. So we're going to be adding, to make this little amount into 10 meals, we're going to be having to bulk it up with a few different ingredients. Just things that most people would have in their pantries or their cupboards. Potatoes, pasta, frozen vegetables, and we will just bulk this up and fill this pan up in the end with 2 different flavours. We'll just cook all that off, and then I'm going to divide this into 2. So step 1, we're going to brown off the meat and divide it in half. We need to bulk this up so that this amount feeds the family. This is going to make 5 serves, or easily, if not 6. Normally I get 6 from this. Again, it sounds a lot, but it's actually not difficult to do. All right, we have got chicken stock because we need to make a sauce. Firstly, we need to add in the blend, the curry blend. So this is the seasoning mix that we've just made up, 3 tablespoons, which is a serving size, which is for 1 kilo of meat. Even though I've got more than 1 kilo, by the time I've got all my vegetables and other ingredients, need that extra seasoning. So that is 3 tablespoons of the buttered chicken curry blend that we've just made. We then have stock, 1 litre in total is what we're going to be doing. Now I'm going to do 2 different versions with the mince. I'm going to do pasta with this first lot that I've put aside for now, and this one is the curry, and it's going to have the potato because, you know, potato with curry goes really well together. So I'm just going to heat those spices first just to let them release all of those beautiful flavours. Only takes a minute, but it makes a huge difference to the end result of your dish if you do cook off your spices just for a few minutes. Maybe just a minute is all it needs. What you just want is them to be cooked off till they become lovely and aromatic, but not for them to catch or burn. So this dish having a higher oil content at this stage is really good for cooking your spices in. And the pork also has got what was my hamburger seasoning mix as well, which is just a fairly basic seasoning blend, like an all-purpose blend that I do as well, just slightly different. Has a little bit of tomato in it. That's just starting to catch, which we don't want, so I'm just going to add in some of the stock as well. And now we are really going to bulk this up. So the remainder of the stock, this is a litre going in. Like I said, it may seem like a lot, but it isn't by the time we add all of our other ingredients to this. The last ingredient that I want to put in, because I've overcooked them, you know, that happens because I left them in the warm water, is the potatoes. So I've done our own potatoes, which are low starch potatoes. They're not a very starchy, they're freshly picked out of the ground, they're only a few weeks old. But I left them in the water, and so they're no longer fork tender, they just break apart. Which means if I put them in too early, they're going to completely disintegrate, which it's not bad. It'll thicken the sauce, and it's going to do that anyway. But there won't be any texture of the potatoes, which I still want some of them. And I don't want to have to cook up another batch of potatoes to do this. So I'm just going to heat through the stock. Need to add to this some other vegetables as well. And also I made up some pasta and dehydrated it, put it in the cupboard, but any pasta will do. I'm just going to be using like little elbows sort of style pasta going in here as well, and that will add another different texture to the dish as well. So that's the plan. I just need to go and get some veggies to add into this. This is cooked and ready to go in 5 minutes because all the ingredients are now cooked. So this is a really quick, speedy meal prep. Okay, capsicums. These are yellow and red sweet peppers. From the shelf, I need half for this recipe and half for the next one as well. I'm just going to drain off the liquid just because I want to reserve that for later. So I'm just going to put in half the capsicums into this one. These have just been pressure canned. 35 minutes. Frozen vegetables, a few cups, 2 cups or so. Peas, carrots and corn down the bottom, and then some extra corn on top as well. All right, so we're just making sure it doesn't stick. Just going to add a little bit of vegetable stock. The pasta is really doing a good job absorbing this, and the flour is starting to thicken this sauce, which is perfect. It's just what I want. Just need to space it out time-wise in order for the pasta to be cooked all the way through. And like I said, a small amount of meat makes a huge number of meals. Keeps the grocery costs down, but also meal prepping, it means that serving sizes are adjustable. I don't weigh my serving sizes, as people know. I'm not weighing individual ones. I know approximately what they weigh and how many spoons I need to get into each of the containers. The containers are a good size. My son eats 2 of them a day. My husband eats one when he gets home from work, and if he chooses to take one to work, he can do that as well. And if he chooses to have another one later in the evening, he probably does that too. You know, so all we need to do is make sure that the pasta's cooked. About another 30 seconds. And we can add the potato. A minute later, and we are good to go. I'm just going to turn off the heat because these are going to be heat and eat, and this potato is still warm. I'm just going to add in my potato and finish it off with just a couple of knobs of butter. So this is 50 grams of butter. That is because my butter chicken seasoning blend is on the spicier side. And the last batch that I did up for my husband that he loved, he commented that he loved it and it wasn't too spicy. And I remembered that I'd put butter in it because I knew that it was hot, because the cairns that I used were hot cairns. And I have tasted the sauce on this one when I've just tested the pasta, and it's still got a bit of a kick. So that's all it takes, a little bit of butter just to neutralise, or a little bit of dairy. You can add a bit of cream, whatever. I'm just going to add a little bit of butter. It's a lot of dishes, isn't it? It makes up a big dish. So this here is the first dish. And again, there's lovely rich sauce, but the potatoes are still whole. And so I'm not going to cook it any further because I want the texture of the potatoes in this dish. Now I'm going to meal prep this one into individual containers. I should get at least 6 with this one. So this is just the first half of that mince. I haven't added anything else, no bacon, there's nothing else to this one. This is just straight the mince and all of these vegetables. Alrighty, we have meal prepped 6 dinners. So in this here, we have got about 400 grams of mince, 2 cups of mixed vegetables, 5 potatoes, a litre and a bit of stock, and a seasoning blend. And that's it. Okay, so very economical dinner is this one. And there are 6, which means in my family, that would be 2 men eating it. So that doesn't last very long. So that's why I need to do a second as well. Okay, let's get on to the second of the meals. And the sun is coming out, which is a bit annoying, but it's really quick. And I'm going to be doing a fried rice, and I'm also going to be doing another seasoned mix for this one, not the butter chicken mix. I haven't done this one before for you guys. So this one is the mix that I make whenever I'm doing a beef stew. Now we are doing pork, but it's still a very benign meat, so this flavors work really well with it as well. So I'm going to quickly put together that seasoning mix as well, you know, because the spices are out. We might as well. To make up the beef stew seasoning mix, in a bowl, 1 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons of a diced onion or an onion powder. Also need to have 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of a paprika, 3 tablespoons of a beef stock powder, or you could use a vegetable stock powder as well. If you just wanted to use this for any kind of casserole that you were making or stew, you could always just have a vegetable stock powder to it. 1 tablespoon of celery seed. So a teaspoon of basil. A teaspoon of the parsley. Mine's ground. If you have got flakes, then you would probably use twice as much as that. 1 tablespoon of salt. Oregano, 2 teaspoons. Raiding all of my cupboards. Pepper, 2 teaspoons. This is a white pepper, you could use a black. And then a teaspoon of cayenne as well. You could use a hot cayenne or a plain cayenne. That's a plain one. My family don't love hot. I do, but they don't. All right, so that is the seasoning mix that's used whenever I'm doing up a beef casserole dish. All right, all mixed together into a jar that can go. So let's get on to the meal prep for the second one. So we start off again with the mince. So about 400 grams of our mince. And this has just got some, like I said before, just a plain seasoning on it. Nothing extremely flavoursome. And I'm going to be doing this with the fried rice as its side for this particular dish instead. So we're just going to bring that back up again. We're going to heat that back up again. I've just made up beef casserole seasoning mix. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons into this as well. And put the rest away because that needs to get put aside. So while that's heating up, just like the other one, we need to bulk up this amount of meat. See, straight away that sauce starts to, the seasoning blend starts to dissolve. Becomes rich and fragrant, and now we need just to add some stock to that. So I'm going to add the remainder of the vegetable stock from earlier, which is about half a pint. About a cup is what that was. Again, it just starts to make the sauce. And then we'll add some more ingredients again to bulk this up. I've got the remainder of the capsicum from the first meal as well. It can go in. Just turn that heat up a little bit. Just gone to the freezer and pulled out about 200 grams of maple bacon. It is really, really sweet. This is deli bacon. Very, very sweet to eat on its own. That will go really well in this dish. So all I'm going to do is chop it up. So I've added the maple bacon. I'm just going to cook that through. Then we're going to make the sauce. Now, because this one is being served over the top of the rice, which already has vegetables, I don't need to add a lot of vegetables to this. I just need to be able to make this spread across 6 dishes. So I've got about 600 grams of meat. So I've got bacon as well as the pork in here as well. Now we just need to add some more vegetables as well. So to that, I'm just going to add 200 grams of vegetables, or you could just use a can of vegetables even. It's just peas, carrots and corn. There is already vegetables in the fried rice as well, and this is going to go over the top of a fried rice. So there's more vegetables and there's rice, so all I'm doing is adding what will be the top. But again, making such a small amount of protein like the pork, for example, or beef, get transformed into many meals. Now this one will need to thicken a little bit, so I can reduce it down, or because I'd like a sauce over the top, I can add a little bit of cornstarch slurry to it. This here is some corn flour that I made up through the week. I've just got a little container of water. I'm just going to add the corn flour, just 1.5 heaped spoons of corn flour with a bit of water. Mix it together. And pour that in while the sauce is bubbling away like that. Instantly thickens the sauce. And we are done. Now, it doesn't look as much this time around because I'm using the rice. I haven't added pasta or vegetables much to this one. So I'm just going to cook that for a moment. I need to put some of this in a container for my husband and my son to taste. That corn flour is thickening it very quickly. Again, I'll get 6 meals from this because there's a good 600 grams of meat. All right, let me get them to taste it, see if I need to add anything. That is actually, everyone's happy with that. Don't need to add anything to it, but I'm gonna. I've got the leftover little bit of capsicum stock from the jars. And because this is going over rice and that sauce did thicken really quickly, I want to just add a little bit of extra liquid to that. So just adding that little bit extra, and that's it. We are ready to meal prep this. So this is my rice in a bowl. I haven't heated it up. It probably would be easier to prep it if I did, but I'm just going to put this into containers as well. So really easy. Every dish has got some of the rice in it. I've got 6 in here, so in total today I've done 12 meals. Alrighty, on to dessert. There we go. That's our meal number 2. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning. We're done. All right, let's get on to dessert. Alrighty, on to the dessert, which is going to be the family favourite chocolate pudding recipe out of that journal. But I need some coconut sugar. Now, I get mine from Honest to Goodness. All right, but it's an Honest to Goodness brand, but I buy it off Amazon, so I don't pay for shipping. Price of the product is exactly the same, except I'm not paying for additional shipping. That's 5 kilos of sugar. If I'd had that one transported, I guarantee it would have been an extra $20 at least added to the charge of the sugar, which I think was around $58, $60. I bought this one in October last year, so I was right on my dates when I open packages especially. That way I know how long I've had them for as well. and how long I go through them, how long it takes to go through them. So I just simply dispense it into a small jar that I'm using. So I'll do that and then we can get onto the pudding. Pudding bowl. This one is the number 36. This is from an English company, Mason & Cash. I know that you can order these. This one's an older one, but I've seen these recently and you can still order these ones off Amazon, I think, from memory. If I find it on Amazon, I will link it. But these bowls have been around forever and they're a really good size for doing the puddings. They're exactly the right size for this pudding, and of course they've got the lid that goes on afterwards as well, and you can put it away into the fridge if you ever need to. You know, depends on, you know, if you I don't know, if you've got space to put it in the fridge, if it's going to make it to the fridge, who knows. Alrighty, let's get on to it. 2 bowls is all we're going to need, and a whisk. We're not even going to use electric blenders for this. Okay, in the bowl I've got 50 grams ish of butter, measuring with love, and 50 grams of a chocolate. Dark chocolate, whatever kind of chocolate you want, semi-sweet, milk chocolate, just chocolate. I like dark chocolate for this pudding. We need to add some milk to that, a third of a cup from memory. Let me check. All right, I'll get the recipe out. I'll make sure I get it right for you guys. Half a cup of milk. And then into the microwave until that melts. Then we'll make up the pudding to go with it. So a minute in the microwave with half a cup of milk. So in our bowl, we need to have 2 tablespoons of cocoa. Half a cup of self-raising flour. I have all-purpose flour and I'm just going to add some extra baking powder to that to make my self-raising flour. That's half a cup. You can sift this if you wish to. I don't seem to make any difference whenever I've sifted it. It's made no difference at all. I'm just going to add the baking powder to it also. So because I've got normal flour, not self-raising flour, would normally add a teaspoon, might add a teaspoon and a half. For every cup, you'd add your baking powder to that. I need a quarter of a cup of almond meal. You can use hazelnut meal as well if you're making this completely a hazelnut version, which we are going to add some hazelnut paste to this as well in a moment. Caster sugar, a third of a cup. In my case, I'm going to use coconut sugar, not caster sugar. Just normal caster sugar is fine to use. I just like the taste of this. It gives this nutty flavour, and this is a hazelnut chocolate pudding, so it's perfect in this instance as well. We also need some brown sugar as well, a couple of tablespoons. So on top of that, I'm going to add 2 more tablespoons of the coconut here. In total, you need 100 grams of brown sugar minus that 2 tablespoons, and the rest of it we just reserve till later. All right, so all of that together in a bowl. Just going to combine that. All right, so hazelnut spread. Need a quarter of a cup. A quarter of a cup is about 3 tablespoons. So into here, I'm going to add 3 good heaped spoons of a hazelnut spread before I go adding my hot butter. So by melting the chocolate, it gives a really good even distribution. So this has been a minute in the microwave, and I'm just mixing it through to blend the chocolate with the milk. Just using a whisk. You could use a stand mixer, you could use a hand mixer. Lots of options, but I'm trying to make sure that I'm not using all the appliances all of the time. Not everybody has them anyway, and a whisk works just as fine. Alrighty, we're going to mix that together until there aren't any more lumps. So we whisk this through first. That takes out the heat from that melted butter also, because we don't want to cook the egg. Okay, So in goes the egg next. 1 whole egg. Looks pretty luscious. Always does. Is a very rich batter. It's a firm batter also because it needs to be, because we do need to pour over the sauce, which is boiling water. So now would be a good time to get a kettle on as well and have your oven preheating. So for the kettle, you're going to need a cup of the boiling water, up to 1.5 cups, depending on how much sauce you want. In my pudding bowl, 1 cup is enough. We're going to take this mixture. Do I need to oil it? I don't normally need to. Yeah, I'm not going to. I don't normally need to oil the pudding bowl, but you can, if depending on the surface that you're using. All right, in goes our pudding mixture. Could just drink this. The sauce is actually drinkable, 100%. But I'm going to keep this bowl out because we are going to be making the sauce as well. So we might as well just use the same bowl and save on dishes as well. Like I said, I'm going to bring back puddings because I think everybody should have a good pudding recipe in your repertoire of things that you can make. Quick, simple to make, takes no time, very simple ingredients. You know, you can make them with all different flavours. I did a beautiful butterscotch one a couple of weeks ago using golden syrup as well. And like I said, for gluten-free, you just switch out the self-raising flour to the gluten-free flour base, the all-purpose one that I've given you in the past as well. And you can switch that out. Alrighty. Let's get on to making the sauce that needs to go over the top of this. We need 25 grams, or about 1/3 of a cup, of cocoa with my little scoop. So close. All right, so that's my cocoa. To that, I also then need to add the remaining of the brown sugar. So it's 100 grams minus what we've just taken out, which was 30. So it's about 60 grams. Also, another couple of tablespoons of brown sugar. So I will do 1, 2. That's 3 tablespoons of the coconut sugar. And then we just need to add the water. And like I said, it depends on what sort of shape basin that you're using. If you're using a put-in basin and it's a single one, then I think 1 cup is enough. However, if you are doing a long flat variety for like a baking dish, then you'd possibly need some more. So all I'm going to do is add 1 cup to mine. I will link the recipe in the description. I'll put the recipe in the description. There's no link involved. It's out of my book. I've just got to type it up for you guys. So I'll have that in the description for you. And then we just need to mix that together well. And then gently pour this over the top. Once that's well mixed together, just like that, we then take our pudding bowl, we take our sauce, pouring over the top of a ladle or over the top of a spoon so that we don't break the surface of the pudding. And then we cook this in the oven. Moderate oven, about 170, 180 degrees for a fan forced into the oven that can go. That's our pudding. On to the decadent sauce to go on top, which is a chocolate hazelnut. So once again, we need 50 grams of an unsalted butter. And to that, we are going to add 50 grams of dark chocolate. Close enough, it's 45. And a 1/4 cup of hazelnut spread, and microwave it until it's heated together. So it's the hazelnut spread. You can use any kind, any brand, doesn't matter as long as it's hazelnut. Or you can just make your own. There's that too. Probably one of the nuts I don't think I kept for this challenge. I've got pretty much every other nut there is in the world that we could use. I wonder if I could do this with bunya, chocolate bunya nut. Might have to experiment with that as well. I have seen chocolate bunya nut spread or sauce on a restaurant menu. I might look into that for the next time that I do one. Okay, so that's my hazelnut spread. I've got a couple of these on the side. They were just cheapy from the outlet. Alrighty, into the microwave. We'll warm this up. Oh, that would be our luscious chocolate pudding. Alrighty guys, there's our pudding out of the oven, and it is beautiful and soft, well cooked through. The sponge on the top is this lovely, and then you can see the jiggly, that's the sauce beneath it. Alrighty, we're going to crack her open. Let's have a look-see. Alrighty, I also have got my extra sauce. So this one here is the chocolate hazelnut that we've melted in the microwave as well, with the butter and the dark chocolate and the hazelnut spread all mixed together. That's the second top dressing of this dessert, you know, because it clearly needs it. Have a look at this. She's still hot. This here's our pudding. Pretty amazing. Anyway, let's get on to it. So I'm going to, you can test it with a skewer, but because it's such a saucy pudding, you most likely are going to end up with that sauce on the skewer. But feeling the top of it, you can feel it's lovely and cooked through. I've given it an extra 5 minutes or so, so I'm not concerned about it at all. But it is a very gooey dessert, just so you know. So when we break into it, it will ooze because it's like a lava cake, I guess. But this is a big version of it. Anyway, I know what it's like, so I'm going to break into it. You certainly don't need much, but you want some of that lovely pudding on the top. Oh, just dropped a little bit. It's all right. I'll fix that up soon. And then you want to scoop out some of that luscious sauce as well. Which is why I always say that, you know, I don't know why it's a double, because it doesn't really need to be a double sauce. But the second sauce that we've made up's got a lot of hazelnut in it, so it gives it that extra flavour. Now you can add turmeric or additional flavours to it as well. I've done another version through the week that was using Kahlua. So that is our gooey dessert. Now I need to put on the topping, which is the second sauce, which is this luscious hazelnut sauce, which I need to put into a pouring jug at some point, just not now. Because, you know, you need to have extra chocolate over the top of it. For the past half an hour, smelling this cooking in the oven has been amazing. It is seriously a luscious dessert to have. And yes, for all of you out there, no, it's not gluten-free. So moderation for those of us that should not be having it. I don't have celiac disease. I don't have, so I'm a non-celiac, but I'm supposed to, for dietary reasons, avoid gluten due to my thyroid. So, but, you know, every now and then you still got to live a life, don't you? Even the doctor on our ward, our cardiologist, would say moderation is the key to a good life. So there's that. Alrighty. Alrighty guys, that's me done for the morning. I have done my duty and I have provided you with the bestest chocolate pudding recipe. I tell you, I will bring back chocolate puddings. If you make this and try this, and I highly recommend that you do, I guarantee that you're going to be adding this to your favourites as well as ours. The meals that have made up for the men through the week have been enough that's cost me under $10. and there are 12 meals, which is enough for them for hopefully 4 or 5 days, maybe, depending on whether or not they have some of the luncheon meats that I've made also and have some sandwiches in between. Technically, it's probably a week's worth of meals for around the $10, which is pretty good for keeping our budget down for the groceries. I've now put away all of the spice blends that was made up earlier. So this is how I'm storing my spice blends, just in these simple little reusable or disposable, it's up to you. Really good for gifting to family as well. Butter chicken as well as the beef casserole mix. There is a third of a cup in each of these, or 3 tablespoons, and that is enough for 1 kilo of meat for each of them. So 1 or 2 serves. We cook usually 1 kilo of everything at a time, so for me that's the right amount. But if you wanted to half that and then do them as 500 gram mixes, you could. But that's the amount of mix that's used. The butter chicken, the only thing that you need to add to the butter chicken itself is the yogurt when you are marinating your chicken, and then some coconut cream at the end as well, or coconut milk, and you've got yourself your delicious flavoured seasoning. Alrighty, thanks very much for joining me, guys. Bye now.